Hey there, welcome over here to my kitchen. Today I'm going to be showing you some extremely simple weeknight meals that my family loves, but I hope you guys are all doing well and staying safe and healthy. It's starting to get warmer here in Utah, and my little daughter Brinley, she has been enjoying every second of the warm weather. She loves going outside and playing on her bike, so very thankful for that. But anyways, let's head to my kitchen and start cooking. We're getting started today by making one of my favorites. This zucchini squash chicken is so good. So I just added a pound of chicken into my pan. I have a couple tablespoons of hot olive oil in there. I'm seasoning it with garlic powder, onion powder, Italian seasoning, and a little salt and pepper. You're going to cook this chicken completely through. While it is cooking, I'm going to hop over to my cutting board and cut 2 zucchinis into smaller pieces along with 2 yellow squash. Now that we have our chicken completely cooked through, I'm removing it to a separate plate and I'm setting the plate to the side. In the same pan we cooked the chicken, I added an additional tablespoon of olive oil with the squash and the zucchini that we just cut up. And then you'll want to season it with plenty of some more garlic powder, onion powder, Italian seasoning, and salt and pepper. You're going to cook these squash and zucchini until they're soft, about 5 to 6 minutes. So now that they are soft, I added back in our chicken along with the juice from half of a lemon. You're going to stir this around for a minute or so and then add in 1/4 cup of some grated Parmesan cheese. Once the cheese has melted down and everything is nicely combined together, this is ready to serve. I served mine with a baked potato with sour cream cheese and crumbled up bacon. I also served this with a side salad. This meal is delicious. I figured some of you guys might be growing zucchini and squash this summer in your gardens, so you might be looking for a recipe like this, but this one is 10 out of 10. Now we're going to be making this Mexican beefy and potato recipe. This one's a hit. So I'm going to begin by peeling and dicing 2 yellow potatoes, 1 onion, and 1 green bell pepper into smaller pieces. After I am finished with that, I'm going to set those to the side. Over to my pan, I have a pound of some ground beef in there. I'm just going to cook this ground beef until it's about 80% of the way cooked. Now that it is 80% of the way cooked, if yours is super greasy, go ahead and remove some of the grease. But now I'm adding in the vegetables that we just chopped up, and I'm going to stir them around for about 2 to 3 minutes. After letting that cook together for a few minutes, it's time to add in your tablespoon of minced garlic. Let the garlic become fragrant. Then you're going to add in the rest of your ingredients. So you'll want to add in 8 ounces of tomato sauce, 1.5 cups of beef broth, and then for all of the seasonings I'm adding in, I'm just doing 1/2 teaspoon of salt, just a dash of pepper, 1 bay leaf, a teaspoon of cumin, and then a teaspoon of coriander. You're going to stir this all together and then put the lid on top and let this simmer on your stove for about 10 minutes. Here we are 10 minutes later. I'm going to remove the lid, give this a really good stir, and you see all the liquid in there. You pretty much want that to evaporate, so let it simmer uncovered for an additional 10 minutes. And then once it looks something like this, remove the bay leaf and then it is ready to serve. You could really serve this meal however you choose to do so, but what we like to do is serve it with some white rice and then some crispy tortillas on the side with guacamole, cherry tomatoes, and lime and cilantro. This is so delicious. We are huge chicken Alfredo fans in this family, so now that's what we're making. I have 3 chicken breasts right here. I sliced them in half horizontally so it appears as more. I'm seasoning them on both sides with salt, pepper, dried oregano, and dried basil. You could use less or more chicken depending on your preference for this recipe, but I did want plenty of leftovers, so that's why I did so much chicken. Over to my pan, I have a tablespoon of olive oil and a tablespoon of butter. I'm going to cook this chicken for about 3 to 4 minutes on each side, or until it reaches 165 degrees internally. Once it does, I'm removing it to a separate plate and setting this plate to the side. It's time to begin on the sauce now. I just melted down my 4 tablespoons of butter and then added in a tablespoon of minced garlic. Stir the garlic around until it's fragrant and then add in 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. Whisk the flour around until it's a nice golden color, and then you will slowly add in a 1.5 cups of heavy cream. While you're adding it in, make sure you do whisk so there are no clumps in the end, and then slowly add in a 1.5 cups of regular milk. Let this simmer on your stove until the sauce thickens. While that is happening, I'm going to boil up my 1 pound of Italian fettuccine noodles. You could use a pound of any noodle you like for this recipe though. So now that my sauce has thickened to the way that I like it to be, I just added in a little shake of some salt and pepper, 1 cup of Parmesan cheese, and you're going to whisk this all together until the sauce thickens up. One thing that I do like to do that is definitely optional, I don't do this all the time, is add in about 1/4 cup of some fresh basil. I do have a little basil plant in my kitchen, so that's why I like to add it in occasionally, but if you don't have basil, don't worry about that. This is the finished product. This chicken Alfredo is so simple to throw together, and it is absolutely delicious. I just paired it with a really simple side salad on the side. I like to put a mixture of spinach and romaine in my salad with some sliced almonds, cranberries, cherry tomatoes, and avocado. This broccoli and chicken stir fry has very minimal ingredients. So to begin, in my pan, I have 3 tablespoons of olive oil that's hot. I'm just adding in my 3 cups of broccoli that I cut into smaller pieces. I did also add in 2 tablespoons of water to make sure that the broccoli gets to the softness that I like it to be. But I just cooked it until it was soft, about 4 to 5 minutes. I removed it to a separate plate and I set this plate to the side. Now we're going to begin on the chicken. So in my pan, I added a couple tablespoons of olive oil along with a pound of boneless, skinless chicken breast that I cubed. I'm just seasoning it with a little bit of some salt and pepper, and you're going to want to cook this chicken through. While we have our chicken cooking away, we're going to begin on the stir fry sauce. This stir fry sauce is so simple to make up and it's delicious. I just added 1/4 cup of low sodium soy sauce, 1/4 cup of water, 1/4 cup of honey in this bowl, and then just whisk it up. I really do like my stir fry sauces to be thicker, so now we're making a cornstarch slurry to thicken it up. All it is 2 tablespoons of water and 1 tablespoon of cornstarch mixed together. And then there you go, there's your cornstarch slurry. So if you've ever wondered how I make a cornstarch slurry, that is how I normally do it most of the time. So to my cooked chicken, I added our broccoli that we cooked up a little bit earlier, along with a tablespoon of minced ginger and a tablespoon of minced garlic. If you don't have a tablespoon of minced ginger on hand, you could totally leave that out and this will still be delicious. I just love the flavor of ginger. After I mixed that all together until the ginger and the garlic were fragrant, I added the stir fry sauce along with the cornstarch slurry in. I'm going to let this simmer while stirring it for a couple of minutes until the sauce thickens up. Just like this, once it is to this thickness, it's ready to serve. Of course, I'm sure you could have guessed it, but I served it over a bed of some rice with some sesame seeds on top and some green onions. This stir fry recipe is so simple, and if you wanted to add more veggies to it other than just the broccoli, you certainly can. Now we're making these Carne Asada burritos, and these are some of my favorite burritos to make of all time, especially during the summer. I have this Carne Asada meat right here. This is just the Bill Bailey's brand. I grabbed mine from Sam's Club, but I also know you could pick it up from Costco. It comes pre-seasoned, pre-marinated, so all you have to do is throw it on your barbecue grill, and I like to cook mine on a super high heat for about 8 minutes total. I do flip it every 2 to 3 minutes just so it comes out nice and tender in the end. Whenever you cook meat up like this, always make sure you cut it against the grain after it's through cooking. The very first time I ever cooked a meat like this up, I didn't cut it against the grain and it came out a little bit more chewy. So make sure you cut it against the grain. But to assemble this carne asada meat, I like to just stuff it into a burrito and put all of my favorite toppings in, like cheese, sour cream, pinto beans, cherry tomatoes, and some guacamole. But you could put this carne asada meat onto salads or whatever you really choose to do with it. You could eat it plain even. It's just that good. But this is the finished product. This carne asada meat is so good. I definitely suggest you trying it out. And then we love making them into burritos. Now we're making this baked cod, and even if you're not the biggest seafood lover in the world, I think you might enjoy this one. So in this bowl right here, I have 3 cod fillets. I just added the juice from a half of a lemon on top, and I'm seasoning it with a little bit of some salt and pepper. I'm going to set this to the side. In this little bowl, we're going to work on the panko mixture. So I added a half a cup of panko breadcrumbs, a teaspoon of some garlic powder, a teaspoon of some dried parsley flakes, a dash of some salt and pepper, 3 tablespoons of melted butter, and then the juice from a half of a lemon. You're going to mix this together. I placed my cod fillets on a sheet pan lined with parchment paper, and now I'm sprinkling the panko mixture as even as possible on each of these fillets, and then I'm going to kind of press it down with my hands. This is going to bake in a preheated oven to 425 degrees for about 12 to 14 minutes, or until your cod is completely cooked through. Here's the finished product. I just served my cod with a couple of garlic knots on the side and then a little side salad. Like I said previously, even if you're not the biggest fish person in the world, I think you might like this cod recipe. My family really enjoys it. That is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and on Wednesday I'm posting a really exciting video, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it, and I'll see you there. Bye for now.